held a council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate questioned him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said to him in reply, "You say so." The chief priests accused him of many things. Pilate questioned him again, "Have you no answer? See all the things they accuse you of?" Jesus gave him no further reply. Pilate was amazed. A man named Barabbas was then in prison with the rebels who had committed a murder in a rebellion. Pilate brought Barabbas before those assembled. The crowd came forward and asked Pilate to do for them as he was accustomed. Pilate questioned them, "Do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" For he knew that it was only out of envy that the chief priests had handed him over. But the chief priests had stirred up the crowd to have Pilate release Barabbas to them instead. Pilate said to them in reply, What do you want me to do with this man you call the King of the Jews?" They shouted,
"Crucify him!"
Pilate asked them, "Why? What evil has he done?" They shouted again, this time only louder,
"Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!"
So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, handed Barabbas over to them and had Jesus beaten before leading him off to be crucified.
"Nail him to a cross! Crucify him!"
After Pilate released Barabbas to them, he had soldiers take Jesus inside the palace, that is, the praetorium, and assembled the whole cohort. They dressed him in a purple robe, and taking a crown of thorns, placed it upon his head. He began to bleed. They mocked him and knelt before him in homage, saying,
"All hail the King of the Jews."
They continued to strike his head with the reed, and spitting upon him, they knelt before him in homage. And when they had finished mocking him, they stripped him of the purple cloak, dressed him in his own clothes, and led him off to be crucified. "To the top, King of the Jews," one soldier shouted as they all pointed to Golgotha, which means the place with the skull. They began to kick him as he started his long journey.
In only a moment truth was seen, revealed this mystery, the crown that showed no dignity he wore, and the king was placed for all the world to show disgrace, but only beauty flowed from this place. Would you take the place of this man?
he wouldn't make it to the top. So they pressed him to service a passerby named Simon. And Simon was too afraid of the soldiers to say no. So Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, helped Jesus by carrying his cross to the top of the hill.
And we just don't know. Blood and water flow, and in it all he showed just how much he cared. Would you take the place of his man? Would you take the cross from his hands? Would you take the place of his man? Would you take the cross from his hands?
When they reached the top of Golgotha, they laid Jesus upon the cross. Jesus couldn't believe his eyes when he saw a soldier take out long nails and a hammer. But he was too tired to pull away. A soldier hammered a nail into Jesus' right hand. Then they nailed his other hand into the splintered wood of the cross. Another soldier nailed a sign to the top of the cross and laughed. Then they picked up the cross, dropped it in the small hole so it would stand firm. They gave him wine, drugged with myrrh, but he did not take it. With him, they crucified two revolutionaries, one on his right and one on his left. Those passing by him reviled him, shaking their heads and saying, "Aha! You who would destroy and rebuild the temple in 3 days, save yourself by coming down from the cross." Likewise, the chief priests with the scribes mocked him among themselves, saying, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, save himself by coming down from the cross, so that we may see and believe." The revolutionaries, also being crucified with him, kept abusing him.
Lost, everything is lost, and everything I've loved before is gone. I'm alone, like the coming of the frost, and the cold winter's chill in my stormy heart. And where were you in all that I've hoped for? Where were you in all that I've dreamed? Came crashing down to shambles around me. You were on the cross. Pain, could you take away the pain? If I find someone to blame, would it make my life seem easier? All alone, all
at 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out in a loud voice,
Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani,
which translated, my God, why have you forsaken me? Some of the bystanders who heard him said, look, he is calling Elijah. One of them ran, soaked a sponge with wine, put it on a reed, and gave it to him to drink, saying, wait, let us see if Elijah comes to take him down. Was torn in two from top to bottom when Jesus had died. When the centurion who stood facing him saw him breathe his last, he said, truly, this man was the Son of God. There were also women looking on from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of the younger James, and of Joseph, and Salome. These were the women that had followed him from Galilee and had ministered to him. There were also many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem. Since it was evening, since it was the day of preparation, the day before the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea, a distinguished member of the council, who was himself awaiting the kingdom of God, came and courageously asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Pilate was amazed that Jesus was already dead. So he summoned the centurion to see if he had already died. And when he had learned it from the centurion, he gave the body to Joseph. They took Jesus off the cross and carried him to his tomb to be buried.
Dies.
tomb that had been hewn out of rock. They rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb as Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, watched where they laid his body.
The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise